So we're out in front of Tony Chang's restaurant today where John Yoo, one of the architects, one of the real legal architects of the torture policy, is being feted. The owners of Tony Chang's came out and they were concerned too. In fact, they just called the police. But what we're doing is entirely legal, of course. None of the passageways are blocked. We're concerned about that. We want people to pass by because we want to leaflet them. But the owners themselves, when I talked to them, I said, do you know who John Yoo is? And they didn't. And I told them that it's a shame that they didn't tell the owners beforehand who they were feting because it was necessarily controversial. Everywhere John Yoo goes around the country, crowds of people are against his being feted or publicly rehabilitated. And the young woman, one of the owners of the restaurant, responded with surprise at that, and she looked at me and said, is that why they brought extra security today? And I was like, yes, that's exactly why they brought extra security.
The person who introduced John Yoo spoke for about 10 minutes about the you folks who were outside and the people in New York, and he couldn't understand why anybody would be protesting because John Yoo just kept the nation safe.
So it was a very civilized luncheon. Fancy plates and cups and nice people. I was at a table with two people from the Department of Justice and one from the White House. Had a very cordial conversation. At one point, Bob Cooke at the back of the room stood up and put a hood on with a sign and was quietly escorted out, but not before he was acknowledged by John Yoo, who made essentially a joke about it.
I was at a table with a JAG lawyer and some corporate lawyers and government lawyers. I was the only non-lawyer at my table. And there was a luncheon, and so I was, socializing. They're really, lovely people.
Next, Lindsay in the middle of the room stood up.
And I put on the hood, and then I held up this sign. It was right in the middle of the room.
Was silent again and was escorted out. And then finally, I had been talking to the people I was sitting with, and I decided I was going to write them a letter. So I wrote a 2-page note to the folks at my table, explaining why I was about to do what I was about to do. And I left my phone number and email address, and I hoped they'd contact me. And then I put my hood on and held my sign and walked towards the stage, which I was 10 feet away from. And the security came, and I slowly was escorted out by security and had my hood on until I got outside. It was a sad event. It was really a sad event that people gather together and make light of torture, of indefinite detention, of cruel treatment.
When you emerged, Matt Daloisio, a witness against torture, had a chance to talk to him. Unaffiliated passersby chased after you, chiding,
"Shame on you! Shame on you! Bitch! Shame on you!"
So how was your conversation with John Yoo?
It was interesting. I approached and asked if he had seen what I had written on the sign, and he said he had. And I asked if he had also considered the effect that some of the things that he had written have had on actual human beings. And he looked at me and he said that he did. And I wanted him to know that we were as concerned with him as we were with those people who were tortured because of what he did. And I invited him to lunch, and I said, we should sit down sometime and talk about it.
Maybe after this fast, though.
Maybe after the fast. So.